All right, whoever would like to get us started off with questions?
I guess I'll fire one away, Dawn. How impressed are you with kind of the way this team has remained consistent? Because the way you've been beating some of your teams in the Summit League, not just this year, but really over the last couple of seasons. I mean, it could be easy to say. I think it'd be easy for a lot of teams to maybe say, "Oh, we got this one in the bag," and they just seem to play consistent basketball every game rather than get complacent.
Well, I think it speaks volumes of our young ladies that, for example, what they did this past weekend, we didn't shoot the ball well from the three-point arc. We shot 18.8% over the course of those two games. But yet we were able to still be efficient offensively and kind of find a way to score in different ways. So we still scored at a 45% clip. We scored 70 points per game. But really, I think what's impressive is that at times when you're not making shots, it can be really challenging to be locked in defensively. But our kids have continued to stay locked in. I've coached a number of teams over the course of years that when you didn't shoot well, you probably didn't win, or it was really hard to win. And this team is finding ways to be successful even when things aren't really going their way all the time.
Going on the road this week for the back half of conference, I know certainly NDSU kind of came into the year thinking they might be a team that could challenge you. They've kind of had some issues, but they maybe are getting a little healthy right now. Is this kind of to start off the second half, is this a bit of a dangerous game to go into on the road? I mean, it's certainly one that I think they're probably looking to make a statement in.
Well, NDSU is a team that we have a great deal of respect for. We're very familiar with how well they can attack teams. And Heaven Hamling is someone who scored 30 against us last year, so she certainly has our attention. Dietz is someone who scores it inside, rebounds extremely well. Cobbins makes so many things happen in so many different ways, and I think was making shots at a very high level against UMKC on Thursday night. Haven't had a chance to watch their last game against Oral Roberts, but watch their game against UMKC, and so we know that Cobbins is someone who can score in so many different ways. Schulte and Deaton are kids that are really attack mode kids. Hildebrand is back now playing, and Skibble is someone who makes a lot of things happen. So we're fully aware of how dangerous they are. We're going to have to really buckle down and be great defensively to give ourselves an opportunity up there.
Don, you knew what you had, coming back with Chloe, Hannah, and Liv, and your big three and everything they can do. How would you kind of assess how the depth of your, Maddie and Kaya, and then also your bench has developed to give you a little more depth, I guess?
Right. I thought Maddie Kroll had an incredible weekend this past weekend against both Western Illinois and St. Thomas, and averaged, I think, 15 points a game over those games, scored it very efficiently, got to the free throw line, and it's just becoming more comfortable offensively for us. She's always been someone we've relied very heavily on defensively, and now is starting, I think, just to get more comfortable and confident on the offensive end and understand, kind of when to attack and when to just move the ball. Kaya is someone who, we ask an awful lot out of her because of matchups defensively, but is also someone who is getting more and more comfortable shooting it. Excuse me, but Kaya is also someone who I think has the ability to attack around the rim or off the bounce a little bit more than she is, and that's just something that's got to continue to grow. Excuse me. Grace Larkins is someone who makes a lot of things happen. She's someone who goes into the game, and she's kind of sneaky when she gets into the game. She can get some steals or tip a shot, but she's someone who has really good speed, and she can score in a lot of different ways. Our post play, I think, has really grown over the last couple of weeks, and we've seen some great minutes out of Allison Poplowski, Janai Ugowski, Natalie Mazurik. And so I think you're right, Sean, that our depth is continuing to grow, and it's going to need to do that in order for us to continue getting better at this time of year.
And, your defense has been stellar all season, especially in the conference play. When you have, weekends where maybe you're not shooting the three as well as you'd like, how important and how much confidence does that defense give your team? And then how can that help you down the road offensively, knowing that you're going to limit other teams', offensive outputs?
Well, like I said, it can be really frustrating when you're not making shots and, I've coached, unfortunately, kids who really get frustrated by that, and then it affects them on the defensive end. This is a team that it didn't affect them on the defensive end, and it hasn't. It's been something over the course of the weekend. I think we held both opponents down to 48 points per game, and they scored at a 35% clip. And so it's important for us to continue that mindset, certainly heading on the road when you don't really know what to expect and what's going to take place. And you know that both teams that we play against play fast, up in North Dakota and North Dakota State. And so the interesting thing is, as the season also goes on, then other teams keep presenting us with a new look and a new challenge and how to guard the actions, and they've got their counters to it. And so, our defense has to continue to get better and make plays, and that's going to be something we really focus on the next couple of days before we head up north.
Don, you mentioned in your presser on Saturday how Grace is getting more comfortable on defense with her playing more with her feet than with her hands. Are you seeing that with Maddie and Kaya too, or how are they getting more comfortable defensively?
Well, Grace is someone that I think is kind of like a sponge. She wants to keep getting better. I think her teammates, when she's not on the court, are talking to her a great deal, in addition to her coaches talking to her. Maddie and Kaya, I think, have now seen a lot of game action, and so I think they really understand how important it is to stay in balance and cut kids off with their feet and finish plays. And, I think it's something that those three came in with a high level of, or high desire to be great defenders. They have very good athleticism to be good defenders. Now it's a matter of kind of understanding different situations on the court and how to continue to be consistent and how important it is, especially when, it's certainly, I think teams play at a very high level against us. I think that's a compliment to our players and that we have, that the teams want to play at a very, very high level. And so now you have to defend and be ready for a lot of different situations.
How important has it been for the younger core as a whole to kind of learn how to play defense at this level?
Well, it's fun to watch the players like Liv and Chloe and Hannah, because they can cover up an awful lot. And there are times when you have to make a play, and there are times when we tell them that you have to let the spirit move you a little bit, and even if it's not exactly how we'd want to script something and do something, as a defensive player you have to do more than one thing, and so most of the time it's successful for us, but there are times we give things up by doing that too. But Liv and Chloe are players on the perimeter who can make a lot of plays and then get back to their kid, or can scramble. And then Hannah's someone in the post. So I think it's really important for our younger players to be able to watch those kids when they're not in the game and learn from them. That's really important for us.
How impressed, how surprised, I guess, are you at how well Kaya's been kind of progressing this season?
Well, Kaya is someone who certainly, even in the recruiting process, we knew Kaya was, a great athlete, but we also knew she was a very skilled young lady. And so now she's learning kind of how to put those two together and be consistent with it. And I think she's someone who I think is still really young in her development, but is having an awful lot of fun. And I think she's really enjoying seeing the progress. And when you kind of have that and you see it and you develop some confidence in it, then you want to get more of it. And so I think she's in a good cycle with that right now.
Hey, Don. Maddie's obviously had a couple really nice scoring performances in a row. Is there anything that she hasn't really shown yet, just because she doesn't really play in much of a high-volume scoring role at this point?
Well, I think you're seeing Maddie becoming more comfortable with different reads, I think, in the lane, whether that's kind of getting all the way to the rim and different score opportunities, but also pulling up and shooting. And, ultimately she didn't do a whole lot of that in her high school career, and it's just learning how to do that. And if we have two players on our team who are absolutely amazing at it in the women's game, and Liv and Chloe. And so it's been, again, good for players like Maddie and Grace and, Macy and Kaya to kind of watch some of those players and try to emulate what they're doing in practice, which is really uncomfortable for them because it's not something that they came in with, that skill set, something that they're developing. And so I think Maddie's kind of in that realm of trying to add kind of that mid-range game to kind of a repertoire at this point.
And obviously Chloe played big minutes the other day. Is she still playing through a fair amount of pain, or is she feeling good?
Well, I think she's feeling better as time goes on. Felt a little bit better again yesterday, so that's going to be really important. But yeah, certainly is a tough kid that's played through an awful lot of pain this weekend, and probably would have given her some more opportunities to get some rest during that game on Saturday, but also know that when she comes out, it's actually harder for her. So just kind of kept her in until we felt like we didn't need to kind of keep pushing that envelope a little bit. I thought Maddie was pretty sore during the game after she took one of the charges early, and so she was a little bit banged up. And I think certainly we've got to find a way to continue to work during the course of this week and improve, but also make sure that our players can become as healthy as possible by the time we tip off again on Thursday.
Coach, especially considering what the men's program has had to go through, how has your team managed to kind of avoid any COVID issues or COVID outbreaks at this point? Is there anything they're doing differently? Because as I said, especially with the men's program, it's been an issue, and I think you're one of the only women's programs in the league that hasn't had a game postponed yet.
Well, it's hard. I don't know what other teams exactly do. I can tell you from our standpoint, since we came back from Christmas and there were so many games that were canceled right around that Christmas time and right after Christmas, we've changed a little bit of how we've done things, and we've gone back to being more socially distant than we were before, and trying to just make sure we're doing everything we can. Honestly, Zach, I don't love it all the time because we love having our team around together and team dinners and team meals and hang out with each other. And then after Christmas, it was like, okay, pick up your food and go to a different room and don't hang out with each other. And that's hard because we really are a team that's a very close-knit group, and that chemistry has been really, really important for us. And so we certainly feel like we're missing out on those opportunities, but we also really strongly believe that the best case scenario for us is to try to keep playing as many games as possible. So if that does allow us to keep doing those type of things, then we'll continue to be even more cautious than we probably need to be in some of those situations.